Tyler Johnson had always been a man of quiet resolve. He stood tall, with broad shoulders and a calm demeanor that drew people's attention without him having to say a word. At home, he was a devoted husband to Sarah and a caring father to Chloe and Aiden. He grew up in a small Georgia town, working his way through the ranks in law enforcement for over 2 decades. Recently, he'd been named chief of police in Fairhaven, a bustling city he'd long aspired to serve. But Tyler wasn't one to flash his badge or status. Leadership, to him, meant humility, service, and fairness. Even after his promotion, he often drove himself around in his old pickup truck, dressed in plain clothes instead of a crisp uniform. He believed that genuine respect came from actions, not titles. Early one Monday, the weather hovered at a cool 57 degrees Fahrenheit, brisk but not bitter. Tyler decided to swing by a small cafe before heading to the station. The rising sun painted Fairhaven's quiet streets in a soft, golden light as he pulled his truck into the lot and stepped inside. He greeted the barista, a young woman named Carla, with an easy smile. "Morning, Carla." "The usual, please," he said. As he waited, Tyler noticed a commotion just outside. Officer Brian Adams, who was white, was loudly confronting a black delivery driver named Kelvin Brown, who looked both alarmed and confused. Brian was known in the department for a quick temper and a knack for stirring up trouble. He'd been on the force about 5 years but had a record dotted with complaints about his aggressive behavior. On this particular morning, Brian had stopped Kelvin, claiming his delivery van was parked illegally. "Step away from the vehicle." Brian barked, one hand hovering near his gun. Kelvin raised his hands nervously. "Officer, I'm just dropping off packages. I didn't realize this was a no-parking zone. I'll move right now." But Brian either didn't hear or didn't care. Something, maybe Kelvin's hoodie and jeans, maybe pure bias, had Brian on edge. Tyler, coffee in hand, stepped outside to observe. At first, he hung back, hoping Brian would calm down on his own. Yet as Brian's tone turned sharper and more hostile, Tyler knew he couldn't remain a bystander. "Excuse me, officer," Tyler called out, voice calm but firm. Brian whirled around, glaring at Tyler. "Stay out of this, sir," he snapped. "Police matter." Tyler took a few measured steps forward, speaking steadily. "I see that, but I think there's some misunderstanding here. This man's just doing his job." Brian flushed with anger, having no clue who Tyler was without a uniform or badge on display. To him, Tyler was just another civilian interfering. "I said, step back." Brian snarled, hand tightening on his weapon. Tension blanketed the street. Kelvin darted fearful glances between the two men. Tyler lifted one palm in a sign of peace. "Officer, I'm not here to cause trouble. But you need to lower your weapon. Let's handle this properly." Brian's eyes narrowed. He despised feeling undermined. Suddenly, he lunged forward and shoved Tyler in the chest. "You don't tell me what to do," Brian yelled. Tyler stumbled backward but refused to fight back. Instead, he reached into his pocket, pulled out his badge, and held it where Brian could see. "My name is Tyler Johnson," he said, "and I'm the new chief of police for Fairhaven." All color drained from Brian's face. His grip on his gun loosened as shock set in. Chief," he stammered. Tyler's expression hardened. "Yes, Officer Adams. And you've just made a grave mistake." The small crowd that had gathered went silent. Kelvin exhaled, lowering his hands, relief washing over him. Onlookers stared, whispering among themselves, clearly realizing Tyler's authority. Brian took a step back, his earlier bravado melting away. I didn't know, sir. Tyler cut him off, voice steady but edged with disappointment. "That's exactly the problem, officer. You didn't bother to know. You saw a man and jumped to conclusions based on his appearance. Is that how you treat citizens you're sworn to protect? Brian opened his mouth but couldn't find words. He knew nothing excused this. Turning to Kelvin, Tyler asked gently, "Are you all right?" Kelvin, still shaky, managed, "Yes, sir. Thank you." Facing Brian again, Tyler said, "You're fortunate this didn't end worse. But there will be repercussions for your conduct. Report to my office first thing tomorrow morning." Brian nodded, shamefaced. As he slunk away, the bystanders began to disperse. Tyler rested a hand on Kelvin's shoulder. "I'm sorry you had to go through that," he said quietly. "That's not what this department stands for, and I promise I'll make sure it's handled." Kelvin offered a faint smile. "Thank you, Chief. It means a lot." Tyler nodded once, then headed back to his truck. As he drove toward the station, he reflected on how much work lay ahead. Being chief of police wasn't just about upholding laws, it was about shaping a culture that valued empathy, respect, and integrity. Tyler Johnson was determined to see that vision through, one step at a time.